There we go. Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on CFWF Webinar on hot tips for working on the video. I'd like to introduce Andre, who is going to be our presenter. Andre's worked in the Quebec agricultural communications field for many years, including with Le Bulletin, which is the Quebec equivalent of Country Guide, and also for Country Guide, which is owned by the same company, and has recently moved into the area of video production and other exciting digital technologies. He gave this presentation to our French-speaking colleagues, Accra in Quebec, a few weeks ago, and I thought it was so good that we couldn't keep him hidden away, and we had to share it with everybody because he really does have some good practical tips for working with video and photo equipment in this new digital age. So Andre has a presentation. He's got some slides and some photos. He's got a little video to show, and jot your questions down as we go along, and then we can have a conversation at the end. Everybody's okay with the normal protocol of keep your mics closed so there's no background noise and those kinds of things. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat box. We'll pay attention. And if there's any technical difficulties, we can see if we can resolve those for you. Everybody good? All right, so where's Norma?
Everyone can hear me?
We can, it's good. The show is yours, Andre.
Okay, good. So hi everyone, thank you Hugh for the introduction. I'm really glad to be with you today. I really, as Hugh has explained, I probably have a background similar to yours, being a farm agriculture journalist, and now drifting mostly to video. For what reasons? One is I was looking for a project to be creative. Not that writing and photography itself are not creative, but I think you can go further with video. It requires a lot of skills and a lot of artistic feeling. So it's a project I've been putting forward for just over a year now, even though I've done videos in the past. There's also a question of income. As you know, selling articles to a magazine doesn't generate very significant income. Videos, you could sell them to all sorts of organizations, and it's just not the same type of prices, okay? I won't really talk about the business aspect, but I think we can all do videos, and we can all do better than what we see on YouTube. It's easy, it's a lot of aspects, a lot of different skills, but it can really be mastered by everyone. Why is it possible? Well, basically because everyone has been doing videos and people have been accustomed to crappy videos. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's what we see on television or in films. And now the Netflix series are really at the top quality level. So somewhere in between, we can fit, okay? And with the little skills I'm going to teach you, you could sell your videos and just look a lot better than what people see and are used to, okay? I'm not going to talk a lot about the tools, the cameras, but basically, yes, you can do your videos with your smartphone, okay? The smartphone has a bit of stabilization. You can plug a microphone. It's 4K. It's really amazing. You can't change the lens. And honestly, you're going to want to go further with better tools pretty soon. But it is possible. The image quality is really acceptable, especially that your videos are going to be seen on mobile devices as well. Okay, we're not talking about here about cinema. We're talking about videos you'll see on the web, and that means 4K is not even necessarily on the web. Okay, There's a whole bunch of different cameras out there. I use this camera. We used to call them DSLRs. Now they're mirrorless. Okay. There's a whole bunch out there. I use a Fuji. My main criteria for choosing a camera, and that has been the case for many years, my previous camera too, was a headphone jack. Okay, it's a little odd, but a lot of cameras don't have headphone jacks. You really want to monitor sound. I'll talk about that later. So if you're out there to buy a camera, you can go like forget about the small camcorders that we know. Those are not really good, I would say. I haven't used them. You can get professional camcorders of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. That's not necessary. You can get really. Oh, someone's making feedback here, Andrea. Okay. Good. So just get a mirrorless where you can change the lens, and you'll have lots of fun. And I'll show you the little tools you can add to them. Okay. If you want to discuss cameras, we can do that maybe at the end of the camera. I didn't. Did we say we were taking questions along or at the end or? Oh, your microphone is off.
Always if somebody has a burning question, they can put it in the chat box. I'll keep an eye on it, and then I can ask it for you. Otherwise, we can keep them to the end. Okay.
So I have like 5 little subsections, and maybe at the end of a subsection, I can just ask people if they had questions for specifically for that section. Okay. The first is sound. Okay, sound is quite basic, but there's one thing about sound is if it's bad, everyone will notice. Your grandmother will notice, your daughter, your son, anyone can recognize bad sound. And bad colors, poor images, poor framing, that can all be acceptable. But if the sound is bad, if it's not loud enough, if it's too loud, if it's rubbing on your clothes, if there's wind, it's just not acceptable. Okay, you cannot use that sound. You'll have to apologize to the people listening. And so there are different things that can happen. Your microphone can be too far. You have an echo, sounds bad. You can't really be too close. There's automatic levels on your cameras, but you don't want the microphone in your face too. It can be screeching, it can be rubbing on your clothes. So many things can happen. And the last thing you want is to come home and have and notice that your sound is awful and not usable. You cannot fix it. Okay, there's nothing you can do about bad sound. Okay. Now my way to approach sound is put the microphone as close as possible to the person who is talking. Okay. In this webinar, we're going to be supposing that you're interviewing someone. There's other situations where you could want sound. Okay. I work with we call it a lavalier. It's just a microphone that you have here. Okay. Just make sure it doesn't rub, and you can get some better wind protection on it. And then you can use a transmitter. When I started, I just used a long cable extension going to my you can get for as cheap as $40, maybe invest in a $100 one. This one costs $200 or $300. Never use the microphone on your camera, okay? Unless you're really close. If you're using your iPhone, it's going to be perfect for recording you, but anything that's 2 or 3 feet away will be crap. Okay, so first investment, buy a microphone. Okay, and then I like to go around like this. It's quite handy if you're in an event. You don't want to put the microphone in the person's shirt and then put the wire and ask them to put the device on their belt. But most of the time, who you're going to be meeting, and you can take 2 minutes to install it. Okay, and you want to monitor sound with your phones. Okay, you can be in the field at the farm, and maybe there's a fan. I was filming some chicken, and the heaters, the gas heaters, when they started, they would make a screeching sound that I could pick up. And like I say, you just don't want to go back home and find out that you have bad sound. Okay. Any questions about sound? Okay. All right, we're going to look at a little video here to illustrate stability. Okay, it's I don't need the sound.
I have one question.
Oh, okay. Yes.
How do you minimize wind background noise?
Okay. Well, background noise itself, we're excluding wind, but background noise, it's just get the microphone as close to your subject as possible. So use a lavalier, be close with your gear, and the background sound will just be less. Okay. Otherwise, you have to go to an area where there's less sound. Okay. Wind. Well, find a spot where there's less wind. And if you you can use, there are some little they call them dead cats that will give you better wind protection. Otherwise, try to put it like, you can find a way to put it inside a shirt like this. Make sure it doesn't rub against the shirt or your skin, because that will definitely make some noise. But there's no nothing is bulletproof for wind. Okay. All right, share screen. Okay, this is a video I made for Lemkin, okay, and I'll show you how I had it stable. I was in coat to coat, and then that's drone. Okay, so am I back?
There we go.
Okay. No, I'm not back, right?
Yep.
You see my screen, or you see me?
I see yours, the tractor.
Okay, stop share. Okay. Okay. So yeah, in that video, I am in how do you call it in French? It's côte à côte. It's like a four-wheeler with 2 rows of seats. And I'm in the back, the farmer is driving, and I'm using this gear, okay, with the camera on top, okay, and this ensures that my camera is always horizontal. It's called a gimbal, and it eliminates all forms of shake and makes every move smooth, okay. You don't need to go as far as using this for your work, but I just love it, okay. I even put it on the tripod, or I screw it on the tripod, and it makes sure that my camera is always level and no shake at all. This model from Zhiyun costs $500, and it's super robust. Really, it'll take you everywhere, and it's really handy. Okay, it's called a gimbal, and if you're going to be the whole day at a fair or at an event, you know, your arms get tired. At least with this, you know that you're stable all the time. Okay. If why stability? Well, shake is just bad, okay, and a way to look a little professional is to have no shake in your videos. If you're gonna interview someone, okay, it's just like me talking right now. You wouldn't expect the camera to shake at all, okay, and not even to move like this, because that's what we're used to. We're used to listening to someone and the camera being fully stable. So if you're using whatever camera, you can use, even your smartphone, you can use a tripod. You can get a tiny tripod and sit it on a piece of furniture, on a fence, anywhere. But I really encourage you to think about stability and invest a little you can. The cameras themselves offer you some stability, but there's 2 types. Okay, there's 2 types of stability you want. You want to avoid actual shake, and then you want to have smooth movements. Okay, so a camera like this, I have stability on the lens. I have it on the sensor, and I can also put digital stabilization. Okay, that will only prevent shake. I can literally be shaking like this, okay? Your smartphone has a form of digital stabilization. What it'll do, it'll crop the image a little bit and then analyze it and remove the shake, okay? It's kind of okay. It works, but it's basic, okay? These are all good. Whatever technology there is on your camera, it will help. If you have zero stabilization, not on the lens or not on the camera, just doesn't work. Everything there will be some shake, and then don't even think about using it. Okay. You can use a tripod. You can just sit your camera on something if you're doing if you're doing an interview. I have a sort of U grip attached to a monopod. You can use a monopod, just that it rests on the ground. At least you're not going to do up and down, and it'll stabilize you. One of my favorite techniques is I use a monopod and I put it on my camera pouch, which is around my belt. Okay, so I can really rest my arms, and it's quite stable. That's when things are not moving. If you're going to be moving, filming things that are moving, like machinery or even animals, and you want to do moves with your camera, that's when a gimbal comes in hand. It'll prevent shake, and it'll ensure that you make smooth movements, okay? I really recommend when you start making videos, just don't try to do fancy moves with your camera, okay? You'll just do a nice small pan, maybe up and down, maybe move forward a little bit, but very, very easy on these moves. And that's pretty much what I do with my camera. The gimbal allows me to do 360s and everything like that. I just don't use that. It's too much. And most videos don't require any moves, okay? You can get a gimbal for your smartphone. They're very cheap. I think there's some for about $80 or good ones for $150. I would definitely get one if I were you. They'll help you. For instance, you're filming animals that are low. So these gimbals allow you to go deep and at ground level or even high, and they really help you stabilize your image and have smooth footage. Yeah. So yes, any questions about stability? All right, we'll check out another video very briefly. Excuse me. Okay, sorry. Share screen. Okay, now I'm going to talk about light. Okay, and this is the video I made with a farmer. The light here on me is not very good. Okay, I have direct light on my face. Don't use that as a reference. Okay, here you see the goats. Okay. And this is early morning in the fall. Okay, very nice. If you have a chance to do some videos in the fall, the light is very good because the sun is very low and you don't have to be out so early in the morning. Okay, so here I have a bit of side light coming in, and here just a little trick if you're going to do videos. You want to create a little bit of suspense. Don't show your main interviewee. Show what he's doing or show other things, and then wait, and then finally show his face. Okay. So he's talking, and you see his goats, and we're gonna finally see him here. Okay. I don't like the way it's framed, but I want to tell you how I achieved this this lighting. Okay, good. Look at his face. He has barely any shadows. Okay, one side of his face is a little darker. No shadows from his glasses, from his hat, from his nose. How did I do that? Okay, very simple. By the way, you can see the little lavalier on his shirt. In this case, I was inside the barn and there were big openings or big windows coming in. So no direct light, okay? Just big openings, big source of light, but not direct, okay? So here light is bouncing everywhere. It's coming a little bit from one side and it's just giving proper lighting on his face, okay? So here I'm back, okay? The lighting, I mean, we're in a farming context, we're out there, you know, in the outdoors, and I don't use artificial light. I don't bring lights for my videos, okay? It's complicated, it's geared to look, and sometimes doesn't look natural. And honestly, I hadn't really gotten to that. I always look for natural light, and there's different kinds of natural light out there. If you're going to do an interview with someone, you want the person's face to be well lit, okay? The trick is to use indirect light, okay? If you're outside and the sun is from above, you're going to have shade here and here and here. From the side, you'll have shade from the nose, and one side is going to be really well lit, and the other one is going to be poorly lit. Okay. Right now, as you see me, I'm inside my house. All the lights are off, and I have a big a window on one side. Okay, and there's and it's cloudy. So this is perfect. I know it doesn't look all that great now, but this is a perfect combination of elements to film a person for an interview. Okay, a big source of light that is not direct. Okay, so not a light bulb, not sun rays. It's bouncing a little bit everywhere, compensating for the side that would be in shadow, and it's just ideal. Okay, you could be outside. Okay, and not have a choice but to use direct sunlight. Then what I would do, really try to go early morning or late afternoon. Obviously, the lighting changes as the summer, like we're nearing the solstice. So the days are very long. So if you want to avoid the harsh daylight of midday right now, you have to get up pretty early. And I don't know where you are in Canada if you have a curfew, but I think right now, if you go out before the curfew, the sun is going down, so you really have a nice color of light. And in these cases, you can use direct light. If you're filming animals or anything that's outside, you're not going to have a choice. But really avoid just going at 1 in the afternoon. You're going to sweat, and the light is harsh. You're going to have shadows. Personally, I like spring and fall. Fall mostly, very nice tones of color. It's getting colder, and like at 3 in the afternoon, you already have amazing color from the sun. Okay. If you're going to use an artificial lighting, well, get something with what we call a soft box. Okay, you have your lighting in a big, it could be, yeah, it's a big white cloth. Actually, you could put a big white cloth in front of your light. Okay, good. Thank you for the note. Any questions about lighting? You're gonna all these things I'm talking about. It's a lot of aspects, and I really encourage you, just if you want to do videos, to go out there, start doing them, and because you cannot like right from the first shot know your camera, know how to do good sound, watch for light. It's so many aspects involved, and just practice makes perfect, because you know, there's so many things to think at the same time, and things will become automatic.
Andre, I have a question.
Yes.
Not being a good photographer or videographer, one of the challenges is just as you point out, there are so many things to think of. You're concentrating so hard on the person you're filming, you don't notice that there's a fan behind your head, right? And so that, but so do you have a checklist? Do you have something that you go through to, scan the area? Or do you just do that mentally because you're experienced at it?
Well, I try to like at first. Okay, I have to master my equipment. I can't be out there and looking for functions on my camera. That's one thing. So go play with your gear, get to know it. Sound too, know how to put your microphone, and that has to be just come natural. And so the technical part has to be kind of mastered, okay? Because you're with someone and you want to be focused on that person. First, scout for a location for your interview, or when you arrive, take a few minutes to walk around and try to find a good place. And then once the sound is set up, then you can think about framing. Okay, so basically, there's two things left for you to think about once your technical setup is made. Is you're still going to monitor your sound, but framing and asking questions, because as videographers, we don't come as a team. There are production companies out there they'll send 4 or 5 people. We're doing everything, and that's really intense. So yeah, frame properly, monitor your sound, and but you can frame before you start talking to the person. Before you press record, and then because your attention has to be on asking the questions, being with the person, and making them feel comfortable. Okay, but no, I don't use a checklist. Yeah. Okay, and my next topic is framing. Okay, I'm going fast. I hope I am not blurring you, but maybe it's because it's in English and I'm not saying as much. Here we're going to look at the slideshow. Okay. Everything you know. Oh, have I shared? No, huh? Sorry. Share. Now you see my my PowerPoint? Yes. Okay. Slideshow. Okay. I wanted to make it bigger, but you can see the individual pictures. Okay. Right. So everything you know about photography will be useful for you as a videographer. Okay. Video is just more and more aspects, more gear and everything. Everything about aperture and speed and framing, it's all good for video. When I started, I thought it was all different, but the technical aspects is the same. If your aperture is wide open, you'll have a blurry background, which is what you want sometimes. If your speed is too slow, you'll get some blurriness. Everything applies, okay? And that's also if you already have a camera for photo and you're doing video with it, it's kind of good because you know your settings, okay? Here, how to frame, okay? You don't want to frame in the center. Okay, right now I'm talking, well, you remember I was talking to you and I'm sitting in the middle of my frame, which is okay because I'm in a teaching position, I'm in an authority position, and I'm forcing you to, you agreed to listen to me, and I'm free to say what I want. But that's not what we want in a video. We want it to be a little more artistic, a little more free, and our person we're interviewing is talking, is chatting. So the person, first of all, I don't recommend that the person looks at the camera. Okay, you're going to look at the camera if you're the CEO of a company and you have a message for your employees. Okay, the person who reads the news looks at the camera. But the person you're interviewing, if you're having a conversation with that person, asking questions, they're going to look at you. Okay, and you're going to position yourself right next to the camera. Okay, so my first picture was actually they all come from videos. I have a farmer here, okay, and notice, well, here, I'll just go back one slide, okay. When you frame, you want to use the rule of thirds, okay. It's quite well known. You just draw a tic-tac-toe lines, and you want your center of attention on one of the lines that cross, okay. That's just a basic trick. You can always play with that rule, but so here I'm interviewing this farmer. If you want to know how I did it, I had an open aperture which blurred my background. That gives an artistic feeling to the image. We recognize that they're cows. We know that it's a barn, but all of a sudden, that barn was quite clean. But when you look at footage inside a barn, you start noticing all the dirt. Okay, they're all dirty because there's animals and they're doing what they're doing. So you don't need to look at dirty cows all during the interview. You just blur the background. I'm not going to explain about aperture in detail, but your lens wide open, almost to the maximum. Your background is blurred. It's a little artistic. It helps you focus. It keeps the attention on the person who's talking. We're not distracted by the cows or whatever is in the background, and you can achieve a pretty neat background, even if it's crappy, okay, in the background. So don't bother even trying to find the best background looking and perfect. Here I was lucky, I was able to use the lights in a certain direction and the cows kind of looking at him, and notice how his eyes are not in the center, they're at the top left intersection, okay. Next is my wife looking at a candle at Christmas time, and in the background, that's the Christmas tree, okay? Wide open aperture, blurred background, that's how your Christmas lights will be. And her eyes are looking towards the center, and they are not, they're not looking at me, okay? They're looking towards the center of the frame is always good. Down there, it's a couple, they are farmers, and they decided to come into the scene this way. I didn't have to ask them to put the same color of hat to hold their hands, and it was really great. Notice how they're not in the middle, okay? Same with this chef, the bottom right. That's a picture actually I took, and lighting is actually good. It was a cloudy day, and there was light reflecting everywhere in the kitchen, and you have the kitchen cabinets going, like, directing our eyes to him, okay? So it doesn't have to be amazing background. Just remember the rule of thirds, and it will always serve you, okay? If you're filming something that's moving, an animal, machinery, you're probably going to put it in the middle. It's going to be easier, but otherwise, if you're able, just shift your subject to put it at one of these intersections of the tic-tac-toe, okay? Yes, that blurry background is called bokeh. It's B-O-K-E-H. It's a Japanese word, okay? And it's really lots of fun when you start playing with that, okay? I had another farmer, a pig farm. It's really an awful place to do a video. And we were in the technical room with all the electrical panels, and I was able to blur the background just enough, and it looked kind of okay. All right. Oops. Cancel. Stop share. Okay, here I am back. Okay. Yeah, framing. That comes to the question: what type of lens you would use? Zoom lens is fine. I have a zoom lens on this right now. What I like to do is I bring two lenses along with me. One is fixed, maybe 35 or 40 millimeter to do my interviews, because fixed lens with only one distance, like a 50 millimeter, usually you can have larger aperture and you can blur the background. Zoom lenses are not really good at blurring the background, but if you're going to film a whole bunch of different things during the day, they're going to be a little more handy. Okay. Any questions at this time?
There's a couple of questions in the chat box, one of which I think you answered. Is it preferable to have them talk to the camera or face you, which you just went through? And
Yeah,
what
definitely.
video editing program?
Okay, yeah, I'll get to editing at the towards the end. Okay, but no, definitely have the person look at you. It's going to be more natural for them, more easier for you, and they'll forget about the camera, and it's kind of normal. It's when I started videos, I thought, you know, people would look at the camera, and no, people are. We watch movies, documentaries. No one is staring at the camera, okay, unless it's a special purpose for that to be done. Okay. I wanted to talk about B-roll. Okay. B-roll is all the images that you would gather so that you can put on your video and not see just someone talking for the whole video. Okay. You're going to interview someone and you want people to, and that person's going to speak maybe for, you know, once you've done all your editing for 2 or 3 minutes, you really don't want just to show that person's face. Okay. Unless that person is a professional actor, a storyteller, it's just very boring. Okay, that person has interesting things to say, but we don't need to see that person's face very much. Okay, just every now and then, every 20 seconds, you can show that person again. So what you do is you get B-roll. B-roll is, you know, you get images of the person's hand, images of the person walking, images of the setting, the farm, the field, so doing tasks inside the barn. So when you're going to go to a shoot, really try to visualize beforehand. That's something I really do as a form of preparation. I'm like, okay, what can I shoot? I'm doing a video about ventilation. I want the fans being turned on and off from inside, from outside. I want a lot of fans, just one fan. I want a cow with a fan, just everything. And I can tell you, I end up using most of it, because B-roll, you will see an image for 2 seconds and then put another one and another one. So it's quite handy because you're gonna edit your interview, whatever sound you have, and you don't want to just put every sequence lined up, because that's going to be choppy. But if you don't see the person talking, but you've edited the footage, you don't see these odd transitions because the person is at another place in the screen, and then, you know, because you're gonna have to edit a lot. You're gonna be with the person for even just 10 minutes, and you're gonna have to cut it down quite a bit. So if you look at the visual, it's gonna look like it's jumping, but if you just listen to the audio, it's perfectly fine. Okay, actually cutting a sentence in the middle works a lot. Okay, works just fine. So you cover that visually with B-roll, and you can just never get enough. Really, I really encourage you. That's really going to distinguish you from other videographers. Just having your videos where we don't see the person talking all that much. And a little trick I like to use is hear the person talking, see the person doing stuff, and then finally showing the person's face. It's, you know, get a bit of suspense. Okay, and it also helps. A lot of people may not be comfortable at the camera. They might be bad looking, or they have their nervousness will show. You can reassure them before the shoot, saying, look, we're not going to see you all that much because I'm going to use B-roll. Okay, and if you're going to do a 15-minute interview, try to be another hour on location to get B-roll. Also use a drone. There's lots you can do with a drone. I'm not going to get into it today, but you can get visuals from the top, from around, from low, moving forward, all sorts of things. Okay, so yeah, B-roll. I have an example here. Okay. No. Well, sorry. Okay. And yeah. Last is editing. Okay, I have a comment here. Yeah, 1 minute of voice meant shooting about 20 minutes of B-roll. Yeah, maybe not a whole 20 minutes of B-roll footage, but actually spending 20 minutes out there filming. I like to do small clips. I shoot for 15 seconds and then I stop. I just don't like to work with a long piece of footage to extract parts, but definitely it's B-roll is, you can't have too much. And it also, if you're going to sell your videos, it really adds a lot of value, because if you're going to just film someone and put an interview out there and charge some money, maybe they'll think that it was quick money. But if you make it a really rich video and with lots of B-roll, then they see that the money is well spent, and you can show very pretty things. Okay. For editing, I use Final Cut Pro from Apple. I've tried a few others. If you're not doing much editing, I mean, you can use the free software that comes with your computer. There's one app that I really like for my iPad, and I have a blank here. I'm trying to find it on my, yeah, Luma Fusion. Okay, if you want to do editing on if you're not going to do big projects and want to get into well, it's an app, it's not software. That's really, really easy to learn and to play with. Luma Fusion on your tablet will do amazing things. Okay, I rate a software by how easy things are to find, and I started with Filmora, which costs about $150 for a fee to purchase, and I just hated it. And now I'm with Final Cut, basically because I don't like to pay subscriptions all the time. I paid a one-time $400 fee, and Adobe Premiere Pro, there are more plugins, more presets, bigger community out there, but you have to pay a monthly fee. And if you're not producing regularly, it's kind of annoying to pay $49 a month. Yeah. The app for is called Luma Fusion, Luma and Fusion. And the one I want you to avoid is Filmora. It's got lots of tutorials out there, but it's just hard to. It's cheap and you can do everything with it pretty much, but yeah, I didn't like it. In terms of editing, I just have two small pieces of advice. Okay, no transitions. Transitions is when you have a clip and then you line up another one and another one. When you first start doing editing, you're like, oh, it's jumping from one thing to another. But that's how it is. If you watch a movie, you watch the news, a documentary, it's one scene after the other, no fancy transitions. I use them very little or not. Okay, just one sequence after another, maybe a little blur if I want. If you're gonna put effects, transition effects, it's more appropriate if it's like an action video or something very promotional. And yeah, Glenn Lapointe, I can only see the beginning. We were filming in 4K in all. Okay. Good. So I'll just finish my two thoughts about editing. So no fancy effects. If you're gonna put titles, use very simple titles, nothing that twirls and flies. It's just easier, and it's easier for you, and it won't make the people who watch your video sick from all these blurry things that are revolving. It's not necessary. And try to adjust the volume of your sound. Okay. just so that it be even. You chart it between -6 and -12 decibels. There was a comment about 4K. I didn't read it all. If you want my opinion about 4K, highly overrated. Okay, I do not own a device that has a 4K screen. Okay, you can buy a 4K screen for your computer, a laptop with 4K screen, or a TV, but pretty much everything is HD. Okay, I have a 4K camera. I bought it just because if ever a client tells me, do you do 4K? I have to kind of say yes, okay? But all the footage you see on YouTube, on the web, on your TV, Netflix, it's not 4K, okay? Your screen just doesn't have 4,000 pixels lined up. So if you, one reason I do film in 4K is that you can crop your image without losing much resolution. And yeah, you can, but otherwise the footage is very heavy. You need a very good computer and you need to work with an external hard drive. You do not need to do 4K. Yeah. So any comments, questions? That was pretty much the content I wanted to share with you. I hope it's you learned something and it wasn't too basic.
You've got one there on captions. Does LumaFusion do captions?
Captions being like little titles under, yes, yeah, for sure. I don't remember using it for captions, but you can put letters, and it has
that question's from me.
Yeah.
We like just if a farmer is out in the field and wants to watch a video but can't hear it, say, we like to put key points along the bottom.
Yep.
So this is more for like a how-to sort of video, not a news video. So I've used iMovie before, and the captioning option, there really isn't a good one. You could put titles at the bottom, but
okay.
I was wondering if LumaFusion offered the chance to just put a nice clean bit of text along the bottom.
Yes, I don't remember if there's already a preset specifically for text caption, but it's pretty easy to put text. That's one of the reasons I really like it. I really like that their titles were very simple, and yeah, I'm sure you can do it. But you can try it. The app costs $27. Okay, it's a big price for an app, but it's cheap if you compare it to the software. One thing you mentioned, yes, Jay, that's very relevant. A lot of people will watch your video without sound. Okay, they'll be out in the field, or even me. I'm at night in bed and I don't want to put earphones. You can be at any location. If you can do videos with that speak without having sound, without hearing the voice, it's always good. Okay, if it's going to be showing a piece of equipment, it's a very good idea to put small captions and not force people to hear the sound of someone talking. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, someone's saying I use a 800D Canon. I still have my Canon 80D. It's a DSLR, no HD, and I really adore that camera for video. It does great, and it has a dedicated headphone jack.
Music.
Yes, if would I add background music if there's no one speaking? Yes. You can. I subscribe to Envato Elements. Okay, it's $16. I don't remember if it's US or Canadian per month. I have access to unlimited music and titles and presets. And it's really serving me well for now. There are other sources of music, but if you use the ones that are in your iTunes or your the free software on your computer, people are going to recognize them, and you can buy them one shot too, but there are some subscriptions. I use the Epidemic too. It's more expensive, but you can do a month by month. You can cancel after a month too. So you just pay a one-time $50.
What was the name of the first music service you used?
Envato Elements.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's really amazing. You can download, once you subscribe, you can download templates for your website, fonts, a whole bunch of things. Yeah. Yes, recording here, as Glenn says, I use it along. I use on this camera with a Tascam sound recording system. I have a small recorder that I can do sound on. Film crews will record sound and image separately. Okay, and they'll put it together in post-production. I don't do that. I could do it, but I just go simple and record it on the camera. I used to have my sound connected to my microphone connected to a sound recorder and the sound recorder going to my camera. So I'd have a backup for sound. It worked great, but it's too much gear. I just go simple. Yeah, there's some free music out there. I just find that when you subscribe, you kind of find good music faster. But it's hard to find music. If you want to put country music, it sounds too country, and rock music is too heavy. Definitely. And if you have people talking, lower the volume really to the bare minimum. Yeah. Good.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Andre? Good. Well, thank you. If you have questions afterwards, you can email them in and I'll forward them to Andre. Or you can, I don't know if you want to put your email address up there directly. Thank you very much.
And if people want to share some things they've done, I would be very curious to see. My website is AD Video Reporter. So maybe Hugh, if you do a follow-up, you could send them my website. You can see what I've done. Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon. What's left of it? See you again on the road someday, somewhere.
Thanks, Andre. Good stuff.